you aren't using your trademark yet and you feel like you need to better understand what an intent to use application really is and who it's for. In this video, we're going to cover 3 things. Who should be using an intent to use application? What exactly is an intent to use application? And how is it different than a regular application? Hey everybody, my name is Marcella Dominguez. I am a trademark lawyer helping small and medium-sized companies with IP issues online and offline. Intent to use applications is what we're going to cover in today's video. Make sure you stay till the end for the last and most important tip that you don't want to miss. First things first, what is an intent to use application? Maybe you're somebody who's not using a mark yet, but you're wondering if you can submit a trademark application. You see, I get calls from applicants all the time that say, Marcella, I really need to secure this name. I want to secure this name. I know somebody else is trying to beat me to the punch. They're trying to use it. They're trying to market. They're trying to create social media pages, and I don't want them to do that. I want to be able to put a stop to them doing that. It's going to affect my own brand. Tell me what to do. And so an intent to use application is perfect for those people who have not yet started using a trademark, but who know that they will end up using the trademark within at least 3 years. Now, why 3 years? Well, you see, when you file an intent to use application, you're going to have to eventually start using the trademark. You can't just file an application and say, I'm definitely going to secure my trademark, but just because I filed an application. The USPTO does not work like that. If you watched this video right here, then you know well that one of the tips that I give in that video is that you have to start using your trademark in order to be able to acquire a registered trademark. So just because you submit an application does not mean that you are going to receive a registered trademark certificate. Now let me drive home that point a little bit more. Just because you file a trademark application does not mean that you are going to acquire a registration. Okay? So if you know that you're not using that trademark yet and you're not actively selling under that trademark, then an intent to use application can be a perfect option for you. Number 2, who should be filing an intent to use application? Well, if you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a medium-sized business owner, even a large company, then it is okay for you to file an intent to use application. There is no special criteria that you have to meet as a type of business owner, a specific type of person, in order to be able to take advantage of an intent to use application. So by listening to all 3 of these tips, you will definitely understand what the major difference is between filing an actual use application versus an intent to use application. But as I mentioned already, you don't have to be a small business owner or a large company or a specific type of entrepreneur selling a specific type of product or a specific type of service in order to file an intent to use application. An intent to use application is available to everyone and to anyone. I definitely encourage you to listen to all 3 parts of what I have to mention in this video to make sure that an intent to use application is right for you. Because even though you might be an entrepreneur, you might be a small business owner, and you definitely check this box that we're talking about right now, you might not meet the next criteria that we are going to talk about. So when would you use an intent to use application? If you are somebody who is already selling a product or a service under a particular brand, then you would not use an intent to use application. So let me give you an example. If you're somebody who already has a website, and let's say you're a dentist, a lawyer, a doctor, and you're offering a particular type of service, and you're advertising that service through your website or say through a social media page, and people are actively buying your service on a rather consistent basis, either because they call you, they schedule appointments with you, they're buying your services through a pay button on your website, then you are actively using your trademark. And if you are using your trademark, then an intent to use application would not make sense for you. Think about it. Intent to use. What does intent to use imply? Intent may mean that you have a plan that's in the works. You're actively thinking about how you're going to promote your goods and services, how you're going to advertise them, how you're going to have people pay for them, and you are also working on it. So maybe you're building your website a day at a time. Maybe you've hired somebody to build your website a day at a time. While all of these actions are great for starting a business, they do not equate to use in commerce. So I want to make sure that you understand what use means before you decide that an actual use application is for you. And if that's the case, you need to watch this video right here to make sure that you meet the definition of use in commerce. Because if you do, then you want to stay off of this video. You do not need to be using an intent to use application. Now, on the flip side, if you are somebody who has thought about this name that you really want to protect, it's been on your to-do list for a really long time, you currently have a marketing plan in place, but you haven't yet executed it, or maybe you're brainstorming, or maybe you don't even want to start selling or pursuing the act of having a business until you know whether that name is viable with the trademark office. Well, if that is you, then you are in the right place, because then you do want to fully understand an intent to use application before you file one. So just to recap, because this is very, very important, if you have use in commerce, then you would file an actual use application. If you do not have use in commerce and you only have a plan about how you're going to market, a plan about how to advertise, a plan about how to get your business up and running so that people can actually come and purchase from you, then that could potentially equate to an intent to use application. So if you're selling, then actual use would be the way to go. If you are not selling, then an intent to use application could be the way to go. Now, an intent to use application actually carries an extra step. If you do not feel comfortable filing an intent to use or an actual use application on your own, then make sure you scroll down into the description and you contact us. Sending us an email is always free. We'd be happy to make sure that your application gets done in the proper and efficient and cost-effective format that you would expect from yours truly. If you still want to understand more about an intent to use application and maybe what extra steps are involved, what extra costs are involved, then make sure to catch this video right here. Then you definitely want to watch it, because it is not something that I cover in this video, but it is still very relevant to intent to use applications. And you also want to make sure that you're aware of all of the costs and time involved. It does take a little bit longer when you file an intent to use application. To find out why, you need to watch that video.